She didn't look like someone who'd break your heart. Not at first. She just looked calm, like she'd already lived through the storm and learned how to keep still inside it. It was raining that afternoon, not hard, just that quiet kind that turns everything gray and thoughtful. I'd stopped by the small bookshop near the university, half hoping to find her there. And she was, sitting by the window with a paperback folded in her hands, a cup of tea long gone cold. "Mara," I said, my voice too casual for how my chest felt. She looked up, startled for a moment, then smiled. A small, restrained smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Eli," she said, "you're still in town." "Just visiting." I wasn't. I'd been finding reasons to stay for months now. I sat across from her, the air between us soft but electric, the way it gets when words aren't enough. Her hair was tied loosely, a few strands escaping, brushing her cheek every time she moved. I wanted to tell her she looked tired, or maybe beautiful, or both. But I didn't. Instead, I said, "You still read before it rains?" She laughed quietly. I don't think I ever stopped. That's how it was with Mara. Everything simply turned heavy. A line about rain became a memory. A silence became a confession. She didn't mean to do it. She just carried weight in her stillness. I watched her thumb trace the page edges. A wedding band mark faintly showed on her finger, pale skin where gold used to sit. I wondered if she noticed how often her hand went there. I did. "You shouldn't be here," she said after a moment, not looking at me. "I know." Her voice softened, almost pleading. "You should walk away, Eli." I tried to smile, but it came out wrong. But I can't. The way her eyes lifted then, that half-second of vulnerability, it was enough to unmake me. She didn't speak, and she didn't have to. I saw everything she was trying to hide. The years, the loss, the ache she thought she'd buried. A gust of wind pressed against the window, making the glass tremble. The smell of rain mixed with the faint perfume on her wrist, sandalwood, and something floral I couldn't name. "I thought you moved on," she said quietly. "I tried," I admitted. "Didn't work." She looked down at her tea, now stone cold. "You're too young to understand what not working really means." I leaned forward slightly. "Then teach me." Her lips parted, but no sound came, just the faint tremor in her breath. She looked outside, eyes following a couple walking under one umbrella, then back at me, almost like she hated herself for wanting to stay in this moment. "I can't do this again," she whispered. Again. Her silence was the answer. For a long while, we just sat there. The world outside moved. Cars, laughter, rain. But inside that little bookshop, it was just the two of us suspended in something neither of us knew how to name. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and the color drained from her face. She reached for her coat. Too quickly. "I have to go," she said. "Mara." But she was already standing. She hesitated, just once, hand on the doorframe. Her voice low, barely audible. "Don't follow me this time." And then she was gone. The door swung closed behind her, bell chiming once, soft, final. I sat there staring at the half-empty cup, her warmth still on the chair across from me. Then my phone lit up. A message. From her. It read only 4 words. "You shouldn't have stayed." I didn't hear from her for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of half-written texts, deleted drafts, and walking past that same bookshop just to see if she might be there again. She wasn't. It was stupid, I told myself, this thing between us. It wasn't even a thing, not really. Just glances that lingered too long, conversations that felt like trespassing, a memory that wouldn't leave. But that night, out of nowhere, I saw her again. She was standing outside the faculty hall after the evening lecture, her coat pulled tight against the wind. She looked older than I remembered, not in years, but in wear. Like she'd been holding too much for too long. "Mara," I said. She turned slowly. A small smile flickered and disappeared. "Eli, didn't think I'd see you here again," I said. I could say the same. There was something guarded in her tone, something that tried to make distance, even as her eyes did the opposite. We walked together toward the parking lot, our footsteps uneven. I asked about her work, the literature classes, the new curriculum, just to fill the air. She answered in short sentences. Safe ones. When we reached her car, she stopped. "You shouldn't come to campus, Eli." I was invited, I lied. Guest talk. She didn't believe me. She didn't press it either. The wind lifted her hair. She pushed it back absently, and for a second, I saw the small scar just under her jaw. I remembered how she'd once told me she fell during a hiking trip with her husband, Ex-husband now. He'd left 2 years ago. Or maybe she'd left him. She never clarified. All she said back then was, sometimes silence grows louder than love. I wanted to ask if that silence ever stopped echoing. But I didn't. Eli, she said softly, this can't happen. What can't? This. She gestured vaguely between us. You. Me. Whatever this is trying to become. I laughed under my breath. It's not becoming anything. Her eyes met mine, steady, searching. That's exactly why it's dangerous. For a moment, neither of us moved. A car passed by, its headlights slicing through the dusk, throwing light across her face. The faint lines near her eyes, the tired beauty of someone who's lived through too many promises. You remind me, she said quietly, of a version of myself I don't trust anymore. I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. She reached for her keys, dropped them, and when I bent to pick them up, our hands brushed. It was barely a touch, just skin against skin, but she froze. I did too. Her breath caught, flicking to mine. For a second, I thought she might pull away. She didn't. Instead, she whispered, almost to herself, "You make it too easy to forget how lonely I am." Then she took the keys, turned, and opened the car door. Before getting in, she looked back once more. "Please, Eli, don't follow me again." Her voice broke a little on that last word, again. And then she drove away, taillights fading into the night. I stood there in the empty parking lot, the wind colder now, her words still echoing in my chest. I told myself I'd let her go this time, but my hands were already reaching for my phone. I told myself I wouldn't text her again. And yet, 2 nights later, I did. "Eli, are you okay?" No reply. Then, 10 minutes later, "Mara, you shouldn't be checking." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. I almost typed back. I can't help it, but I didn't. I just left it there, unsent, waiting. The next day, I saw her at the cafe near campus, sitting alone with a stack of papers. Her reading glasses rested low on her nose, her expression unreadable. She didn't see me at first. I could have left. I should have, but I didn't. When she finally looked up, her face went still. "Eli, can I sit?" She sighed but didn't say no. We talked quietly, small things at first. Books, her class, how the rain wouldn't stop this week. It felt almost normal until a voice broke through the noise behind me. "Mom." I froze. Mara's face was drained of color. A young woman, maybe 20, stood near the counter, eyes flicking between us. She looked like Mara, only sharper, younger, and already suspicious. "Leah," Mara said softly, her tone tightening. "You're early." Leah's gaze shifted to me. "You're Eli, right? The one who wrote that piece Mom keeps talking about." I swallowed. "Yeah, that's me." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Didn't you know you two still kept in touch?" Mara straightened her papers. "We don't. He was just leaving." Her voice had that clipped precision-eyed. Heard when she wanted to bury something alive. Leah shrugged. "Right. Well, Dad's picking me up later. You want to ride home, Mom?" "No," Mara said quickly. "I'll walk." Leah's eyes lingered on me one last time. Not cruel, just curious in a way that stung. Then she left, the bell above the door ringing like an accusation. Silence fell hard. Mara's hands were trembling slightly as she gathered her things. "She's your daughter," I said quietly. "Yes." "And your ex, he's still around?" "Sometimes," she murmured. "He teaches nearby. We share too much history to disappear completely." I nodded, not sure what hurt more, that she'd kept this part of her life hidden, or that I had no right to be hurt. She looked at me then, really looked, tired, guilty, almost angry. "Do you understand now, Eli? Why did I tell you to walk away?" I did. And still, I didn't move. She stood, brushing past me, and for a second, her hand brushed my arm. Not deliberate, just an accident. But it felt like the first breath after drowning. "Mara," I said quietly, "I'm not trying to ruin anything." She closed her eyes. "You already are." For a heartbeat, I thought she might cry. Instead, she stepped closer, so close I could smell the faint trace of her perfume again. "You should hate me for this," she whispered. "I don't." Her lips parted slightly, her breath against mine, and then she stopped, inches away, frozen between want and regret. We didn't kiss. We just almost did, which somehow felt worse. Then she stepped back, shaking her head. "Don't make me see you again, Eli." And she left. But even as the door closed, I already knew I'd find her again. Because she hadn't said she didn't want me to. I didn't mean to show up at her house. I told myself I was just walking. Nowhere specific, just moving. Like if I stopped, the thoughts would catch up. But somehow, the streetlight, the map of habit, led me there. Her house was small, quiet, the kind of place that looked like it was built to hide someone. There was light in the window, soft, golden. I should have left. Instead, I knocked. The door opened slower than I expected. Mara stood there in an oversized sweater, hair loose, eyes tired but sharp. "Eli," she said, a warning wrapped in my name. "I'm sorry," I said, though I didn't know what. "I just needed to see you." She didn't move. "You can't keep doing this." "I know." "Then why are you here?" "Because everything felt quieter when I was near her. Because every part of my life without her felt hollow." But all I said was, "I don't know." Her jaw tightened, the muscle there flickering. "You're a child," she said, not cruel, just broken. "You think this is love, but it's just confusion. You're chasing something that isn't real. Then why can't you look at me when you say that?" Her breath caught. She turned away, crossing her arms, facing the wall like it had answers. "Mara." I stepped inside without waiting. The air smelled like cinnamon tea and something faintly metallic, like rain on old iron. She didn't tell me to leave. "I saw you with him," I said finally. Her shoulders went rigid. "At the cafe," I continued. "Your ex." "You laughed at something he said." "It was nothing. It didn't look like anything." Her head turned sharply. "You're jealous." I swallowed hard. "Maybe." "Eli, you have no right." "I know." My voice cracked. "I know I don't. But that doesn't stop it." The silence after that was suffocating. Only the ticking clock and our breathing filled the space between us. She looked at me. Really looked. Her eyes wet now, not from sadness, but exhaustion. "You don't understand what it costs to feel something at my age," she whispered. "I've spent years rebuilding walls I can finally sleep behind. And then you." Her voice faltered. "I didn't mean to ruin anything," I said softly. "You didn't," she said, stepping closer. "You reminded me I can still be ruined." We stood inches apart, her hand brushing against mine, trembling, then pulling back. The air between us felt charged, fragile, inevitable. "Say something," I whispered. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She just reached up, her fingers grazing my cheek, featherlight, shaking. Then she whispered, "If you stay one more minute, I won't be able to stop." The words landed heavy, electric. I didn't move. Neither did she. Her breath touched my skin. My pulse was loud in my ears. The world shrank to the space between us, the line neither of us should cross, and both wanted to. Then, a knock on the door. Her eyes went wide. She froze. I did too. Outside, a man's voice called softly, "Mara? You home?" Everything in her face, fear, guilt, longing, collided at once. "Eli," she whispered, "you have to go." But I didn't. "Not yet." "Mara? You home?" The voice outside the door was steady, calm, too familiar. Her ex-husband. Mara's eyes widened. Panic flickered beneath the surface, but her tone stayed low, practiced. "Go," she mouthed. I hesitated, frozen between reason and instinct. She gripped my wrist hard, harder than I thought she could, and whispered, "Please." I slipped into the hallway that led to the kitchen, every step heavy with guilt. The smell of her perfume clung to my sleeves. She opened the door just as I disappeared around the corner. "Daniel," she said, voice level. "You're early." He stepped inside without waiting. I could hear his shoes on the floorboards, that easy confidence of someone who once belonged here. "Leah said you've been quiet lately," he said. "I thought I'd check in." "That's thoughtful," she replied, too calm. He paused, then chuckled. "Still the same place. Smells the same too." I pressed myself against the wall, every nerve lit. Through the crack between the door and the frame, I saw part of his face. Kind, tired, not cruel. He didn't look like the villain I'd imagined. "I didn't mean to intrude," he said softly. "I just wanted to make sure you're all right." She hesitated. "I'm fine, Daniel." He nodded, eyes searching hers. "And your student?" "The writer one, Eli, right? Leah mentioned he's been around." My chest clenched. Mara's breath caught, so faint only someone listening too closely, like me, could notice. "He came by once. That's all." Daniel's expression shifted, not anger, exactly, but something more painful. Recognition. "Mara," he said quietly, "you always had that look when you were lying." The silence after that stretched long. Then, suddenly, her tone cracked, sharp, defensive. You don't get to ask me questions anymore. I'm not asking, he said. I'm warning you. You're still his teacher. You know how this looks. That hit her. I heard it in the breath she took. Short, trembling. He turned toward the door. Just be careful. For your sake. And Leah's. When the door finally closed behind him, she stood still for several seconds, staring at nothing. Then, quietly, she said, You can come out. I stepped from the hallway, guilt thick in my throat. You heard everything, she said. I didn't mean. Of course you didn't, she snapped, then caught herself. God, Eli, what are we doing? I wanted to touch her, to tell her it didn't matter, that whatever this was, it felt real, but she looked like she might shatter. Mara, I said softly, I'm not ashamed of you. Her eyes filled, but she laughed, a hollow sound. Then you're not thinking far enough ahead. Before I could answer, her phone buzzed on the table. A message. From Leah. Dad told me. Is it true? Mara's breath hitched. The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. She stared at it, then at me, eyes wide. Fear, regret, and something that looked like surrender mixing all at once. She knows, she whispered. Eli, she knows. And for the first time, Mara looked at me like the end had already started. The night after Leah's message, I couldn't sleep. Every version of what could happen looped in my head. Daniel's warning, Leah's question. The look on Mara's face when she read those 4 words. She didn't call. She didn't text. So I went to her. Her door was unlocked, half open, like she'd stopped caring who came through it. The house was dark except for the faint lamp by the window. She was sitting on the floor, back against the couch, phone in her hand. Mara. She looked up slowly. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying anymore. She looked past tears, the kind of tiredness that only comes when you've accepted something you never wanted to face. She knows, she said simply. I nodded. What did you tell her? The truth. Her voice was barely above a whisper. That it was a mistake. Something in me broke then. Is that what this is to you? She didn't answer right away. Eli, I have a daughter your age. Do you understand what that means? What would it do to her if she knew the whole story? I don't care what it looks like, I said. I care about what it is. She shook her head, eyes glassy. You think that's brave, but it's selfish. You get to want me because you don't have anything to lose. I'm losing you, I said quietly. That stopped her. The silence that followed was thick, raw. She stared at me for a long time, then whispered, I didn't plan this. You were supposed to be just a student I helped once, not someone who... She stopped, words trembling. Not someone who what? Her voice broke. Who made me feel alive again. It hung there, the confession neither of us could take back. I moved closer, kneeling in front of her. Then why keep fighting it? Because love doesn't fix damage, she said, her tone cracking. Sometimes it just makes it visible. We were close enough to touch, but neither of us did. Her hand hovered halfway, unsure, before falling back to her lap. I could see the battle in her eyes, fear and desire colliding like waves. You'll hate me for this one day, she said softly. Maybe, I whispered, but not tonight. For the first time, she didn't look away. She leaned forward slightly, not quite a kiss, just breath meeting breath. A fragile, unfinished moment. Then she pulled back. You need to leave, Eli. I won't. Yes, you will. Her tone softened, final. Because this is the part where I save you from me. Her voice broke on me. I stood slowly. She didn't look up, just stared at the floor, her hand gripping her phone like an anchor. I meant it, you know, I said. When I told you I couldn't walk away. She exhaled, eyes closing. I know. When I turned to go, she whispered something, so faint I almost missed it. Thank you for seeing me. And that was it. No promises. No goodbye. Just 2 people who finally understood what it cost to feel something they weren't supposed to. Outside, the night air was cold, sharp. The door clicked shut behind me, quiet, but absolute. And for the first time, I didn't follow her. It's been 8 months. Sometimes I still walk by that little bookshop, half expecting to see her through the window again. Hair tied loose, tea untouched, lost in some novel she's read a dozen times before. She isn't there. She probably never will be again. After that night, she disappeared quietly, changed her number, stopped teaching for the semester, maybe left town. No announcement, no closure. Just absence, the kind that fills every corner of your day before it finally starts to fade. At first, I thought she'd taken something from me. But over time, I realized she'd given me something instead, the kind of truth that hurts before it heals. I learned how fragile love can be when it isn't allowed to exist, and how sometimes loving someone means letting them protect the life they're trying to hold together, even if it means you don't fit inside it. I still write. I guess that's how I keep her close. My words are full of her, the pauses, the silences, the almosts. Every time I describe rain on glass, or the smell of cold tea, or the tremor of a hand that almost touches and doesn't, it's her. Always her. A few weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just my name written in her careful handwriting. Inside, a single page. You were right. Some things can't be walked away from. They just learn how to live quietly inside us. Don't wait for me. Just write something honest. No signature. She didn't need one. I read that letter until the paper softened from the touch of my fingers. Then I put it back in its envelope and left it inside my notebook, the same one I used to carry to her class all those years ago. Sometimes, when it rains, I still hear her voice. Love doesn't fix damage, it makes it visible. Maybe she was right. Maybe what we had wasn't meant to be fixed. Maybe it was just meant to be brief, real, and impossible to forget. Last night, I dreamed of her. We were sitting by that same window again. Only this time, she looked lighter. She smiled. That small, guarded smile that used to hide everything. And said, "You finally learned how to stop chasing ghosts." When I woke up, the room was quiet. But I didn't feel the ache anymore. Just something softer. Like peace. And maybe that's what love really leaves behind. Not the fire, not the pain, but the quiet understanding that for one brief part of your life, you saw someone completely, and they saw you back. Even if you both had to look away in the end. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next? More slow burn romances, bittersweet love stories, or something entirely different?